We're live. Welcome to the Instigators Hockey Show. I'm Paulie D. He's Chris Katsopoulos. He's over there. See him? I'm trying to reach through his screen. You got a lot to do. Going to have a lot of fun. Welcome to the program.
Welcome.
Chris has got a little bit of Jack Daniels, probably a splash of Coca-Cola in there.
Nope.
Nope, just Jack, nice and neat. Maybe a little rock in there, huh?
Yeah, a little ice. It's freezing up here.
I like to stick with my Budweiser.
You gotta start your own beer brand, Paulie D Beer.
Yeah, I like it. I had a friend who made beer. He did a really good job.
We should think about that.
I fucking love it. We're gonna make Paulie D beer.
Exactly.
Paulie D beer.
Exactly.
And then we'll have different names. We'll have one that says "Dropping the Gloves." We'll have one that says 2 minutes for 2 minutes high sticking, stuff like that. 5 minutes for fighting. See, I've already got it. It's done. Just we need a brewery now. Budweiser, I'd love for you to make my beer.
There you go. Why not?
What's up, Mikey? Mike's in the chat room already.
Well.
Beth's here. Hi, Beth.
Hello, everybody.
We're expecting a full house tonight. There's no hockey on, so we're gonna fill you up for your need in hockey, or at least try it. We got a lot of big topics. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Golden Jet passing away.
Yeah.
Cott's got some good stories, so that'll be fun. I think there's a real big article, and it's something that I really want to cover because I've been bitching about it for the last several years that we've been doing this show.
Ever since you and I have met each other, you've been bitching about it.
Yes.
We're going to let you bitch a little more.
We're going to cover it because it's my point has been made, and the proof is in the pudding. So I'm excited about that. Obviously, we'll talk about the trade that happened last week. We'll talk about the rumors. We're going to talk about the New York Rangers. We're going to talk about everything NHL. And I think I was going to start with one topic, but I think we'll get through this really quick. Let's talk about what's happening this weekend, the All-Star game.
No, I got to interrupt you. We're going to talk about the Golden Jet first.
You want to do that first? You do?
I'd like to get get forefront here with it.
Okay.
One of the greatest players. In fact, he's probably the Golden Jet. Bobby Hull passed away. He's probably, in my opinion, one of the top 5 players that ever played the game. Just a ferocious winger that could shoot the puck 100 miles an hour. Better known as the Chicago Blackhawk, was one of the first to jump to the WHA. He, took the big money, and a lot of people should really thank him for the money that they got in the National Hockey League because of Bobby Hull jumped to the WHA. Think about that, Paulie. He signed $1 million bonus to go to the Winnipeg Jets. Ended up with a $2.5 million contract during that time with the Winnipeg Jets, and it's just sad to see some of the original 6 guys that I grew up watching in Toronto, pass away. I mean, time always catches up to everybody. There's 2 things I want to mention about him, though. I can remember now. You guys, bear with me here because of my age. I remember my father, Big Mike, taking me to a game, 1965. That's how far back I remember. Where I believe Bobby Hull was trying to be the first to score over 50. He Rocket Richard owned the record at 50, and if I'm correct, and I really remember this like it was yesterday, Bruce Gamble was in nets for the Toronto Maple Leafs back then, and we were sitting in the green section, which is kind of like the peon section at Maple Leaf Gardens at the time, but we were right behind the net, basically. And I remember every time Bobby Hull came down, is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? Bruce Campbell stuffed him that night. So I just remember my dad and I being there and watching the Golden Jet. And I guess he scored that 51st goal the next night in New York because that's what it was back then.
Yeah.
So he was the first to score over 50 in the National Hockey League. And he's probably the only guy I think to score 50 and 50 in both leagues, besides, Blaine Stout and him were the two guys that scored 50 goals in both leagues. But the other story I want to talk about with Bobby was when he tried to make a comeback at the age, I think it was 43, 44, I was going into my second year with the New York Rangers training camp. And folks, this is just before I got my ass traded because thanks to Herb Brooks. Anyhow, we started out our training camp in Europe that year. And they took us all the way to a place called Viramuki, I think it's in Finland. And we were at an Olympics type, I don't know, base camp where the Finnish Olympics teams, track and field, you name it. They had a rink there. They had everything there. And we were only a couple hundred miles away from the Russian border at the time during the Cold War time. So it was kind of weird. But we had cabins. They had us set up in cabins, at nighttime so we can sleep, And I was fortunate enough to be with a couple other players. I don't remember the players on the team other than Bobby Hull being in the same cabin with me. And every night we had this wooden round table there with the wooden chairs. And just before we go to bed, Bobby would hold fort. He would hold court there, tell stories. And somehow, Paulie, this is incredible, but somehow this man managed to get in a 12-pack of beer every night. We're supposed to be training. We know nobody in Finland, but he managed to get a 12-pack smuggled in somehow. And he'd sit there and hold court for a good hour and a half before we go to bed. And we just sat there and listened to his stories. There was no questions asked. We just listened to him over and over and over again. And, we're all kind of like mesmerized and hypnotized that this is the Golden Jet, trying to make the Rangers. But I don't know much about after that because when we got back to North America, I think I got traded the day after we opened up the Brendan Byrne Arena in an exhibition game. I cannot remember if Bobby Hull played in those games or not, but that's what I remember about Bobby Hull, making that comeback, remembering him as a kid, and one of the greatest hockey players, in my opinion, of all time, is now gone.
Yeah. Here's a couple of statistics for everyone. Bobby Hull's Blackhawk rankings. Bobby Hull played 15 seasons for the Blackhawks, and then the franchise career leader in goals with 604. He ranks first. Game-winning goals, 98, ranks first. Hat tricks, 28, ranks first. Points, 1,153 points, and ranks third for the Blackhawks in the franchise history. I got to tell you, obviously I'm a little bit younger than you, but to the hockey world, obviously you got to know a little bit of history. You got to know a little bit about your original sixes and some of the greatest players in the world. And Bobby Hull was one of those guys. I wasn't old enough to really watch him play, but seen a lot of tapes and obviously the guy had a shot that was probably one of the fastest right cots in his day.
He had a curved stick that was unbelievable. Him and Stan Mikita were the ones that introduced the curved sticks by chance because they broke a stick in practice, Stan Mikita did, and bent it a little more. Next thing you know, all the goalies were terrified when Bobby Hull came down. His brother was just as bad. Dennis Hull was probably a little more reckless with his slap shot. Bobby was just a little more accurate, but those two guys could really crank the puck. And goalies from that time on, once the curved stick came in, boy, oh boy, they were terrified of Bobby Hull. I remember watching him. Like I said, it was vicious, his slap shot. Just vicious but accurate.
Yeah. A lot of stories, a lot of love. Obviously, his son Brent went on to be another superstar in the game.
You're freezing up, Paulie.
Very gifted son in Brent Hull. So
yeah, they both could fire the puck. We're really in the end when you think about it.
Yeah. So going to be missed, and a legend has passed, but obviously great in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and we'll I'm sure we'll be honored as years to come.
I won't forget him.
With that, I was going to go a little bit lighter and start off because
we had to get that out of the way. I mean, it was an important.
And I'm sure we'll get back to some things about it, but
one of these days I'll tell you some of the real stories, but not tonight. Tonight we'll celebrate tonight. I can tell you some of the stories he was telling us.
Sure.
Pretty funny.
But again, our condolences to the family, and the hockey world has lost an icon, but he will forever be recognized as an icon inside the hockey world. So good stuff there. Within the family, just peace and happiness. But on the lighter side of things, it's a conversation I think we got to talk about. And this weekend is the All-Star festivities. Kotz, I mean, as a kid, I kind of liked the All-Star game. And then when they started introducing the new mix with the skills and the skills competition night, I still enjoy that side of it. I don't like the game as much. I think the game is just, and I think there's a lot of proof that the fanfare in the game just isn't there anymore. But with that being said, here we are, another weekend. We got 35, 40, not even 40 games left for some teams.
Right, it's like 30 plus basically now. The mid-30s or less.
Less than 40 games less than the season, 30. But the All-Star game, I know you're not a fan, Kyle.
Well, yeah, I'm going to interrupt you again here. Like, what kind of game do they play now? Isn't it like an East-West game, or isn't there like 4 or 5 teams? I don't know. I don't even know what kind of game they play anymore. Honestly, I don't. Because I'll be honest with you, folks, I don't watch it. I think it's shit. I think it's crap. It is what it is in my book. I don't even know what they do. What do? They got certain, like 4 or 5 teams play each other now? Is that how it is? Or is there one big game again at the end? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing this year. Yeah, Mike made a point. I agree. Oh, my God. He would have loved our last shows, man. He said, you see it there, Campbell Conference, first to Western. Campbell, what was it? It was the it was Campbell. And what was the other conference? Hold on, I got to think. Mine's getting old. The conference, Wales and Campbell, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was. So you put Western. But anyway, that
we knew what you meant.
Yeah, that was good stuff back then. I do like the skills competition. I find that fun and interesting. I think that's really where they should end it. But people aren't really hooked into the game anymore. It was the way.
Well, it's like that in every sport, though. Now, Paul. It's all watered down. It's all players not taking it seriously anymore. Owners not taking it seriously anymore because they got so much money invested in these guys. They don't want them to get hurt, so there's really nothing to play for. In the old days, I'm going to repeat myself because I've done this on our radio blog talk show, and I'm not sure if I did it last year, but I think the last time there was actually a guy that played the serious game was Wendell Clark when he was with a Toronto Maple Leafs. He went into Hartford in the All-Star game, was actually hitting people. I mean, we're talking like close to how many years ago now? That's a long time ago. Almost 40 years now.
That's funny.
I don't think anybody's taking it seriously anymore. And I get it because of the money being paid out these days. You don't want your players getting hurt, so they kind of take it easy on each other.
Yeah, I don't really see a need for the game. Unless you can find it. unless you can find some way to make it really interesting. But like you said, I mean, there's nothing at stake. There's nothing to win or lose. There's
Well,
really
I think the hardcore fan still enjoys it, and like you said, the obviously the skills competition. People want to see who's the best at this and who's the best at that. But are you really getting the best? Because 9 times out of 10, the people that are entering these skills competitions are already an all-star. It does not mean that somebody that's not an all-star can't compete with them.
sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I like when they do the shooting targets and stuff like that. That's the stuff I like. I like the hardest slap shot. I like to see who's got the hardest slap shot, and then obviously the skating competition. You can see who really, where the wheels are. So
I'd like to see a young Mike Gartner do the skate with the equipment today.
yeah,
Because he held the record for almost 30 years,
yeah.
or 30 plus years. And he was wearing probably 10 pounds, 15 pounds worth more equipment.
I tell you, Mike Gardner was probably one of my favorite players.
Guy could play.
Yeah, he was one of the best right wing guys in the game, man.
Yeah.
He was money, man. He was money. That guy could score some goals, boy. He always scored clutch goals too. That was why I really liked him.
And the Rangers traded him to win the Stanley Cup. You figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, you know. They traded Tony Amonte too that year.
Yeah. Well, they made good moves. They made good moves to win it that year, and sometimes you get lucky. But anyhow,
but didn't they? Wait, they traded Gardner to Chicago?
Oh no,
or Toronto?
I might have been Toronto. I'm not positive. Not positive about it, but I know he started the year with the Rangers and got traded.
But who did they get for him? I thought didn't they get Brian Noonan for him? And somebody else. They got Noonan for him.
I don't think he went to Chicago, though.
No, you're right.
Monty went to Chicago.
Traded Doug Waite that year.
Monty went to Chicago.
Yes, and we got Steve Larmer for him.
And Noonan.
Doug Waite they traded too.
And Hudson. Remember Hudson? Hudson was from Chicago too.
Pretty sure they got Noonan. What was the guy's not Noonan? Noonan.
Brian Noonan. Good player. Good. In between third and maybe borderline second liner. But
and a good player. Who they get for Step on My Toes? Doug Waite they gave up for Step on the Toe, didn't they?
Oh, I'm not positive.
I think so.
I think we're regressing now.
Anyway, yeah, we are. Anyway, so the skills competition, I kind of like it, but the fanfare isn't there anymore for the game. And I'll be curious to see the ratings. Oh, let's talk about ratings in a minute.
What a segue! What a segue right into ratings.
But I want to know if any of the guys in here, people in here, are going to watch the All-Star game. Or are they just going to watch the skills competition? Because most people I know will watch the skills competition, don't care about the game. Moving on, as we digress slowly, here's the big topic of tonight when it comes to the NHL around the world, because I have to do this. Kotze knows I'm going to get some.
The floor is yours for as long as you want.
Kotze knows I'm going to get some serious satisfaction out of this one. Guess what, Gary Buttman? Your viewership is down 22%.
Who's he again?
Oh, you know that guy who's at the top of the NHL for the last 30-something years, celebrating 30 years of destroying the National Hockey League? But let's just talk about this, because I have been ranting and raving for 10 years.
Over 10.
And I say it, and I say it, and I say it, and finally I got the statistics right here, and I love it. So, obviously, as a huge hockey fan, originally NHL was, has always been not the greatest sport in America to watch, but ESPN would you could sit any night of the week, and I remember doing this with my friends. Turn on ESPN and ESPN2 and probably watch 3 different hockey games within a 6 or an 8 hour period. Okay. They played as many games as they could. They would play a game on ESPN, and then later on that night, there'd be a game on ESPN2. And then obviously the West Coast games would be on ESPN2 later on, or ESPN. They did that for a long time. And at the time, that was the sporting network that was growing and was featured and was a possibility to really help the NHL propel forward. And I'm sorry I'm going backwards, but I have to start at the beginning to get to where we are today. Gary Beltman comes in, changes a bunch of things, winds up selling out to the NBC network, right? NBC Sports. Does a lot of investing, finally gets these fans to find their hockey games, to know a network that plays their games. Hey, there's not my team on tonight, but I want to watch hockey. Let me go over here to the NBC network. I can watch, the week, the classic, whatever you want to call it, the rivalry game, whatever it is. Spent a good part of 10 years, maybe more. I'm sorry I don't have that statistic for you. Inside of this network. And then we decide that we're going to let this network fold under us, and we're going to go back to ESPN. Well, as I've said before in the past, bad move, because you invested all this time, all this money, and you got your viewers where you wanted them, and they had a place to go. Not so much the case anymore. Viewership is down by over 22% this season in the U.S. The NHL regular season games to date have averaged 373,000 viewers on ESPN or TNT. The second season of the league's 7-year pact with the Disney Turner network. The NHL used to average over 478,000 viewers at this point last season per game in the U.S. That is actually 22.3% loss in just the U.S. Now, I know with Canada it's much different, so we're going to stay in the U.S. market. But the point is, the fans say, and I'm not a Penguins fan, but here's a Penguins fan saying, as someone who wants to watch the games, the NHL does a good job of making it a total headache for the fans. How long have I been saying that? How many times, especially during the playoffs, you're like, where the fuck is the game? What network is the game on? Is it on TNT, TBS, USA, 123?
MSNBC.
Where is the game? We can't find the game. Like, why do you do this to your fans? But now, finally, you can see the viewership just drop. And that's dangerous for the NHL. That's dangerous for marketing. It's dangerous for income. Obviously, if you can't get people to watch your programs, you can't get advertising. You don't get advertising. You don't get the bills paid. With that being said, I will have Beth and myself will post this all over the page if you want to go ahead and read the several articles that I've been reading for days. But I just wanted you, and I just wanted to say, I told you so. I knew this was going to happen. I wasn't the only one experiencing it. And the fans just got sick and tired. You're at 22% loss. This game in the U.S. can afford to lose nothing because it's not in the top 4 as it is now. So to lose viewerships because you keep changing networks, and then ESPN has become a conglomerate where they don't care about hockey like they once did 25, 30 years ago. Okay? You got streaming, Oh, you got to find it on ESPN Plus. You have to pay for. Like, where was the mindset to do all of this? Plus, ask people to pay for center ice. So I got to buy ESPN2 if I want to watch. I want to watch the odd game that my team is playing on. I got to suffer. I got to chase the networks. USA, NBC, this one, that one, TNT. Where's the game? Where's the game? What channel's the game on? And then you got to buy, if you're out of network, you got to buy the center ice anyway. Bad job. And I told you so.
Yes, you did. I got really, Paul. There's really not much else to say. You've been on that case for a long time. Like I said, when we were doing the radio blog talk show, we were talking about it all the time. It's sad to hear that that viewership's down, but you just mentioned at the end of your speech there that ESPN doesn't give a shit in the end, and I guarantee you Disney's not going to give a shit either when they see the numbers. If it continues this way, they won't care either. They'll try to get out of this contract as quick as they can.
Right.
Well, I mean, if they're losing money, they're losing viewership. That's not good for your company. And it's not just the NHL we're talking about. We're talking about Disney here, which we can get into a lot of things with them. I can't stand them anymore because it ain't what it used to be. But I just don't understand. You mentioned it about Canada. Canada don't give a shit where it's on. They'll find it, okay? And there's one thing the Canadians do is they promote their game big time up there. There's no question about it. The NHL could stop promoting games up there, and it'll be self-promoted by itself up there.
Sure.
Okay? But down here, you're still considered the fourth sport. So you have to pull out every stop, every blow, do everything crazy to try to get people's attention. And the last thing you need to do is to bounce around from channel to channel to channel to channel. I'll be honest with you. I stopped buying the center ice package, I think at least 5-6 years now.
Yeah, it's about.
And it's not because I didn't get to watch my Leafs or my Rangers, okay, teams that I played for. It's because they told me at the beginning that I would get every game. Well, I didn't get every game because I live in the state of Pennsylvania. I would not get Flyer games. I would not get Pittsburgh games. Not that it matters as much, but they tell you that ahead of time. You pay for it, and then the next thing you know, oh, by the way, this is blacked out in your area. So I called them up one day, DirecTV, and I told them, this is bullshit. Cancel me. I get the Ranger games. That's good enough for me. And I get enough games, throughout other things. And you know what, folks? If I really wanted to, I could watch every fucking game I want and steal it. Because I have a genius son who can send me all the streaming lines. So there you go. That's what I think about it. Peter Puck. Peter Puck. See, Paul, you probably don't remember Peter Puck. You're showing your age there, Mason.
I don't know anything about Peter Puck.
Oh, when you finally get that third screen where we can play videos, Peter Puck was a cartoon in the 70s.
Really?
On NBC. Remember Bill Mazer, the sports guy from New York?
No.
Yeah, Peter Puck was a cartoon.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. That's what I know about Peter.
And we can go back to the old days too, Paul. Remember who was it there when Fox had? Remember Fox had games? And they had the stupid puck with the Jetsons fuel line on it. Trying to convince the uneducated Americans that, hey, this is a hockey puck. Look
so you can follow the puck.
Look how fast it goes. When it's blue, it's this fast. When it's red, it's this fast.
Ridiculous.
That was the dumbest shit I ever seen in my life.
That was pretty funny. I forgot about that. Yeah.
That was dumb. That basically told you, the hockey fan, you're dumb, and we're going to teach you how this puck works.
That's how they were trying to get new fans, so people would watch the sport. Watch the sport with our Speedy Tron, but with our Tron color.
It was garbage. Basically told everybody watching, you're just a dumb fuck. Period.
We we must be the only people that bash the NHL the way we do, man.
Well,
It's funny
it's not
because
so much that we bash; we just tell the truth about it. That's all.
that's it, man. We tell the truth.
There's,
And honestly,
there's still a lot of good things about it. We can't deny that.
I love the sport. I love the game. I love the National Hockey League for the teams and the players. But I just feel like the NHL, and for years we've talked about this, and I probably calmed down a lot with my rants and my raves, but I just feel, year after year we spoke about this on Blog Talk Radio, and I really wish I probably should go ahead and buy our old stuff and try to incorporate it, but for years I spoke about how things like this drove me crazy as a hockey fan because I'm so passionate about the game because I love it so much. I love the game of hockey. I love the sport of hockey. And I feel like the owners and the current administration over the last 30 years has done nothing but decimate this game. And it's still a great game, but it's so much softer. It's so much more candy coated. It's so much less than what I want it to be. And I get it. Nobody wants bench clearing brawls anymore or guys getting hit in the face with a stick blatantly. That's not what I'm talking about. For years, Kotze and I did shows, and every year we did a show, it was a joke because every new year there was a new rule. Every year there was a new rule. Am I lying? Tell the truth.
No, it's fact.
The trapezoid, over the glass, the instigator, headshot rule. All of these different things came along, and I can't even think of them all. But it was like every year they wanted to water the and I think Gary Bettman, the only credit I'll give him is that he was smart enough to water this game down slow enough for you to take a bite at a time as a fan to get to the point of where we are today. The thing with hockey and the reason why Canada loves its game is much like the sports fan here with hockey. Once you fall in love with the game of hockey, it's a love affair that is never going to end. You can't not love the game, I guess. And the slower they watered it down and fed you little bits of shit at a time to the big giant shit sandwich you have today. It just that was the craftsmanship of Gary Bettman and the way that they did things. But and I'm sorry if I digress in this, but I'm very passionate about the sport, and I think that there are some great rules that help the game, and there's some other things that have just taken the bite and the spice and a lot of that out of the game.
Well, Paulie, I want to get on the rules thing. Sorry again, but I think part of that viewership's down because of the fact of the rule changes and what they're seeing on the ice, that this is a penalty, that's not a penalty. Oh, it's a penalty again. Oh, why isn't it a penalty at this time? You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about like some of the penalties that have been called in the last 5-6 years with all these rule changes. They're absolutely absurd. Like I said it last show. Can we let these players earn some of these penalties instead of little ticky-tack fouls?
Jeez,
Stuff like that. And people get turned off on that shit. They don't want to watch that stuff. And here's the one thing I'm going to bring up, and I'm sure everybody will agree with me. There are no rivalries anymore because of the way they scheduled things. There are no big rivalries anymore. You can talk about the Rangers and the Islanders all you want. They ain't playing each other anymore this year unless they beat each other in the playoffs. Okay?
Right.
There's no more rivalries. There's no more big rivalries. There may be that for that one game, but when you only play each other twice a year, that's not a rivalry.
Yeah.
That's just like eating cotton candy. It's easy. Nobody hates each other anymore.
Right. It's very true. Very, very true about that. There's no rivalry there.
Like if you're gonna put a national game, okay, on ESPN, for example, who's gonna stay up and watch the New York Rangers play the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver at 11 o'clock at night?
Nobody.
You know what I mean?
And there's your
So
22%.
let Vancouver play Calgary on on a nighttime game where like the good old days, people will watch because it's a rivalry.
Sure.
You're not going to get East Coasters to stay up and watch that shit. There's no more rivalries anymore. That hurts the league too. And whoever made the scheduling this year just completely screwed it up. You got to get back to rivalries. The Rangers got to play the Islanders at least 4 times a year. The Flyers 4 times a year. The Devils at least 4 times a year. You know what I mean? Same thing with Montreal and Toronto, Montreal and Boston. You know what I mean? Toronto and Detroit, Toronto and Chicago. You know, screw this shit that you got to play each other all at least once, whether it's West Coast or not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I don't disagree with you at all.
I don't see the rivalry. I don't see the hatred anymore where people get all, frothing at the mouth to get ready to watch the game. They don't do that anymore.
I'm going to be devil's advocate here, and I'm going to tell you why I think they do it. I kind of know why they do it. It's a marketing thing. Because you look at your teams like, who are the number 1 rated teams to watch and are financially backed well, and you got the Rangers, you got the Maple Leafs, you got the Canadians, you got the Boston Bruins, you get the Chicago Blackhawks. You talk about
who's Arizona's rivalry?
Right. That's funny. You look at Rangers in Toronto. So, of course, when they go to networks, they want to take that. They're hoping to take the Ranger fans with them, the Toronto fans with them, to go watch a team that nobody cares about, especially on the East Coast, like Seattle or, I don't know, name a team.
I get where you're going with it, but for the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders to have already finished playing each other,
yeah,
over half a season is absolutely
sad.
That's just stupid.
Sad.
That's stupid.
It's sad. It truly is sad. And I don't disagree. I think the rivalries has come out because of the horrible scheduling. And the game is not, the only way you're going to form rivalries is when you play a team a lot and you get frustrated and whatever the case may be is, but you got to have some of that ugliness and some of that hatred and what makes sports go around.
I was part of that when I played in the 80s where we played each other 8 times in our division. We had to go to Boston 4 times. Boston came to us 4 times. Same thing with Toronto. When we were in Toronto, when I was in Toronto, we had to play Detroit 4 times. They had to play us 4 times. So there was a lot of people shitting themselves in the dressing rooms before those games because, of course, you had Bobby Probert and Joey Kocur out in Detroit, and we had Bob McGill and Wendell Clark and myself and a bunch of other guys. It's the same thing with Hartford when we played Boston. You felt that rivalry, and you felt that anger, and you felt that bitterness towards each other as you played each other from game 1 all the way to game 8.
Right.
And the fans got into it. I can remember in Hartford alone. I mean, we weren't very good then, but there was better fights in the crowd between Boston fans in Hartford with our fans from Hartford. There were some major battles in the crowd back then. I'm not saying that's good for the game of hockey, but that was the intensity of it all. If you understand what I'm saying.
I get it. People get, listen, my best friend, Johnny, God rest his soul, Johnny, I love you and I miss you, man. He was a diehard Islander fan. I was a diehard Ranger fan, and I'll never forget this. We were grown men too. I think I was newly married and everything. We went to an exhibition game at Nassau Coliseum between the Rangers and the Islanders, and Kenny Baumgartner was fighting. God, I forget who it was. It might have been damn it. It was either
You were there.
I don't know if it was Ty Domi at that time, but Ty Domi used to have some real scraps with Kenny Baumgartner, boy. But the fight was so intense. It was I think it was the year after the Rangers won the Stanley Cup and they threw the Islanders just a beating, a wipeout in the playoffs. Had 23 to like 3 goals, just total swept them. And anyway, long story short is fight breaks out. Me and Johnny start pushing and shoving. Fuck you, this and that. He won and I won. And I mean, I grew up with John. He was my best friend. He was like a brother to me, and I miss him terribly. But that's the rivalry. That's how intense it was. Like, he was never allowed. My dad was a big Ranger fan too. He was never allowed in the house if it was an Island Ranger game. You got to watch it somewhere else. You're not allowed to watch it here. And he was my best friend. Like that.
That was like me and my family, my father and my mother and my sister were diehard Leaf fans. I was a Leaf fan up till about 5-6 years old when I discovered the Boston Bruins. I would watch games in the basement, and they'd watch games upstairs. And every time a Leaf would score, they'd bang the floor to let me know. And then every time Boston would score, I would repeat it to them.
Yeah.
This is family stuff.
You weren't allowed in the same room.
No, I didn't want to go near him. I didn't want anybody around me to give me the business about my Bruins.
Yeah.
But yes, I was a Bruin fan growing up. I think most of you know that by now.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was. But I just think that adds to the viewership part, Paulie, is you don't have that. You don't have the big rivalries anymore. And again, I don't want to say the NHL is like we're totally crapping on them week after week, but I mean, there's some great stories. I mean, Connor McDavid, 92 points. Some of the players, Sidney Crosby's career, yes, your guy, Alex Ovechkin, who I can't stand. You know what I mean? There's some great careers going on and great stuff going on in the National Hockey League. But, you know, when you hear the viewership's down, you've got to address that. It's our job on this show to address that. And if people don't like it, oh, well, too bad.
That's what we do.
Yeah. I mean,
read the description of the show. The show says Hardcore Hockey Radio Podcast. We don't sugarcoat it. There's no hold bars. There's no we confront the issues. And the bottom line is if you go online and you start to read and you look at what's going on in the NHL, the viewership is down. And I knew at some point it would have to crash. I've been talking about the network issues for years now. And I couldn't believe it took this long, to be honest with you. But it's frustrating as a fan to have to seek out a hockey game like you need top security clearance. It's ridiculous.
You know, and I've met Gary Bettman a couple of times, and he's been respectful to me, and I've been respectful to him. I can still respect the guy in person and in public and stuff. I just don't have to disagree with everything he's done. I don't have to agree with everything that the NHL Board of Governors have done. You know, I'm not one of them zombies that's going to say, "Oh, yeah," every to everything. I mean, when I think it's wrong, it's wrong. That's all there is to it. And I think you're the same way, and that's why we have this show.
Exciting.
All right, what's next? What do we got next here? How about okay, I'm going to get right into it. How about Lou Lamoriello jumping the gun there and picking up Bo Horvat?
Whoa!
Wow. Guy's he was having a great year in Vancouver. I don't know how he's going to do with the Islanders, but Lou pulled the trigger. You kind of got to give him credit for a team that's kind of like floundering a little bit.
They're on borderline. I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move for the current situation, but it's not prototypical of a Lou Lamoriello deal. Koch, you seem to think they gave up an awful lot for that.
Well, I don't know if they gave a lot per se, even though it's Bavillier. I can't remember the prospect, and if, I think it's a protected first rounder for him. Where I think they gave up a lot is that what happens if you don't sign this guy at the end of the year?
Yeah.
What if he just decides to go somewhere else? I believe he's an unrestricted free agent, so he doesn't have to sign with the Islanders afterwards.
No,
So
yeah, he's unrestricted. Oh,
if
absolutely.
that happens, then you kind of blew it, Lou. You know what I mean? Regardless how you do the rest of the year with him. But
So you're saying
Horvat's a good player.
good trade or bad trade, Cots?
It's like the coffee cup is half full, half empty. I think it's like one of these. Time will tell. That's what I don't think it's a great trade. I don't think it's a bad trade.
He looks like a genius if they make the playoffs because they are on the outside looking in.
Yeah, but Paulie, if he doesn't re-sign with them, you gave up.
I get it.
You gave up a lot to not have a player in return for it.
Right. I understand. I understand fully. But so far, it's the biggest trade of the year. Speaking of which, and I guess we could slide into some New York Ranger discussion. First and foremost, Cots, we got to talk about it. 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 You know where I'm going?
Yeah.
Will Kiley.
Oh, yeah.
This kid, I'm excited. Finally excited. And you spoke about him for a while. What I didn't know about the kid is that he's not afraid to mix it up, Cox.
No. He's had a few scraps in junior that I've seen on online, and he scored a few goals in Hartford. He came up. The Rangers finally called him up for a couple games there. And what I noticed the most out of him, more than any other Ranger on the ice, is he was finishing his checks. He was going like it was old school hockey, Paulie. He would chase the guy. The guy would pass the puck, but he would still hit him afterwards. Where most players today do the little veer off.
Right.
We're not going to hit you. He was taking the body, and he stood up to a pretty tough guy in that Kolesar from Vegas. He may not be the top heavyweight in the league, but he's one of the heavyweights in the league. And I thought he did okay. I thought it was he had a draw minimum, in that fight. He was willing, and I'm not saying that's going to, be what you see in the future with him constantly, but it looks like he's a banger and a grinder, and then he'll let his skill take over once he solidifies a spot on that team.
Yeah,
I like that, and I like that.
What's he, 6'5", 250?
No, he's not that big. I think he's 6'3".
Is he?
You might be thinking about Rempe. You're thinking about Rempe, the guy that's 6'7" down there in Hartford. Cooley's like 6'3", 200 and maybe 15, 200 whatever pounds.
Well, listen.
But he did. He you noticed him out there.
I love it. So, Kotz, like you said, I kind of want to exemplify this a little bit, though. Obviously, he knows that he's right now got to play a little bit into his body, play his body role, where he can bang, he can crash. But, Kotz, the upside of this is that the kid's got some talent, apparently, and obviously he was leading when he left. He was leading Hartford in goals. I think he had 13 or 17
goals. 13.
So you did say, obviously he's smart enough. He has the hockey sense. Okay, the team needs me. I'm going to play the fourth line. I need to take the body, possibly scrap a little bit, bang, crash, wear down defenseman. But when do you think we get to see the other side of his game?
Oh, I don't think you're going to see that for a while, to be quite honest with you. You just got too many guys in front of him. It's all about ice time. When you play the fourth line, Paul, you're probably talking minimum 5 minutes, maximum maybe 8 minutes a game of play time.
Right.
So he ain't going to have a lot of time out there. So when he's out there, he's going to have to do the best he can. I don't know what's going to happen. They did send him down. Now, I hope that's just because of a cap problem or, like you say, conditioning, stay sharp by playing, you know what I mean, throw the all-star break. But they better bring him back because I think he fits in perfectly in that fourth line right now. And the Rangers are going to need a big body like that, Paulie. Now, you know how we're going in from one thing into another. This brings up the trade situation with the Rangers too. Now, over a week ago, I heard this. Okay, that the Rangers are possibly looking at that the big guy. I think he's a centerman or a left winger in Nashville, Tanner Jeannot, who's a big kid, about 6'2", another guy 210 plus, likes to mix it up once in a while, plays a hard physical game. I looked him up. He's got like 5 goals and like 13, 14 points so he's not totally brick hands. You know what I mean? But he'd be a good guy to bring along too, because in the playoffs, you need that kind of big body. Okay? You need a big body to wear down the other teams. All skill does not win Stanley Cups.
I agree.
Never has and never will. You can look at all the great dynasties all you want. Did they or did they not have a grinding line? Did they or did they not have grinding defensemen?
Right.
They absolutely did. And that's probably, I'd say, the weakest part for the Rangers over their playoff runs the last few years. Relying on total speed and skill and not enough on the heavy body work that you need to go forward in long playoff matches.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So Cooley is going to be good if they keep him up. And I'd love to see Tanner Jeannot. It's just a matter of what are you going to give up? Is it a Kravtsov? Is it a Libor Hayek? Is it a combination of guys? I don't know. He's only 25 years old too, Paulie.
He's young.
Yeah, he's not. It's not like he's on the downside of his career. So
you think the days of Sammy Blais are over?
I don't think so yet because he actually scored 2 goals down in Hartford. He's got a couple goals, but it's possible.
Because Sammy Blais can play that game. I just, he can play that game. I don't know that I've never seen Sammy Blais drop the gloves.
He can play that game, Paul, but I don't think he's as big as a Cooley, and I don't think he's obviously as big as a Tanner Jeannot physically.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think they're as big.
I thought he weighed in.
No, he might, but he doesn't have that appearance to me. He looks smaller. I don't know. I could be wrong.
So there's a lot of decisions to be made, Kotz. I mean,
yeah, I still think Hedo's a great trade piece. But I also told you before the show that I'll back off a little bit and say that if they don't trade him, keep that line together the rest of the season. You got to find out for real what Filipino's all about. You got to find out for real what Koppelkak was all about, and you got to find out for real on Alex Lafreniere. And the only way you're going to find out going into the future, including this year's playoffs, is by keeping them together. Let them play. Let them decide their own fates as to where their career goes. That's what I think about that.
All right, so I'm going to look real quick. I'll tell you, the other guy I want to talk about is, and we've been talking about him a lot, Jimmy Vesey, man. I'm really happy with Jimmy Vesey. I don't know how else to say it. Harper signed for a couple more years. I like Ben Harper. He's a rock back there. He's a big, strong dude.
He's been a good fit. He's been a really good fit for the Rangers.
And he kind of helps the kid Schneider, who, a lot of people don't talk about him, but I really like Braden Schneider, man. I think he's a tough kid. I think he can play a little bit on the edge there.
I think he can play a little bit more on the edge. I think he's backed off a little bit on that, but he's starting to show a little bit more offensive skills too, by jumping into play and stuff like that. He's going to be okay, Paul. You got to remember, he's still only 21 years old. You know what I mean? He's a young kid.
I know. I'm high on him, man. I'm high on him for sure. All right, so wow, they don't even have Blais in the current line.
Yeah, you got to look up the Hartford thing now. He had 2 goals and scored 2 goals in like 5-6 games or something like that.
But I'm looking for it right now. Where is it?
I mean, he's not a small guy, Sammy Blade, but I don't think he's as big as those two guys that I mentioned, Cooley and Janot.
Well, again, I can't find it.
Listen, I feel bad for him. We liked him a lot last year until that
Slew foot in him.
slew bit.
Slew
It kind of it's obviously he has not been the same. I think he's been the same player when it comes to taking the body in his time so far with the Rangers this year, but he has not been the same player when he's got the puck on the offensive side.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, I'd like to see, because he's the kind of guy who drives the net, gets the dirty goal, gets the ugly stuff going. But, you talk about somebody who can, wear a defense down and takes the body and play and what you need in the playoffs, and you need that in the playoffs. So, instead of ridding us of an asset, hopefully he can come back and play. Do you think that how do you feel about Decisions? He was a new acquisition. I think we picked him up off waivers from Colorado.
Well, I think he's worked hard, Paulie, but again, he's another guy that's played like 6-8 games already. He's got 0 points. Is he that big a cog in the machine right now? I don't know. I think that's yet to be seen. I mean, are you using him as a defensive guy? Is he going to be that guy that clamps down the other team's best player? Is he going to be a penalty killer? I don't see that role right now with him. I think they got those guys in those positions with your VCs and Zibanejad and Kreider killing penalties and stuff like that. So he's going to have to add something to his offense if he wants to stick around. I mean, it's pretty simple. You're not going to keep a guy forever that's going 0-0 every game. Unless he can drop the gloves and be the tough guy on the team.
PJ Stock. That might have been him. It might have been Stock at the time.
That guy was a tough little bugger, boy.
Against Baumgartner in that game. You might be right. I was thinking him too. PJ Stock. He was tough. It might have been Darren Langdon too. I'm not.
Oh, Layer's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So, do you think? Oh, the last thing I want to talk about was, thank God you and I spoke about this before, but it seems like the Patrick Kane rumors are really starting to die down, which I'll be honest, if you could pick Patrick Kane up for a song, that's great. But if you're going to sacrifice anything on the existing roster right now, especially in the kid line, I think it's a mistake. I just don't think Patrick Kane's worth it. And I understand people like, well, his chemistry with Panarin, that's a long time ago. And
a real long time ago.
You don't want to give up a lot for a player like Patrick Kane right now.
No, I said that to you the last show and the show before. I don't think it's going to happen. If it does, I'd be very surprised.
And even Kotze said he wouldn't trade Hedl for Kane.
No, I wouldn't right now. I wouldn't. No.
See? And Kotze's not the biggest Hedl.
And listen, this is nothing against Patrick Kane, and I'm not waving the pom-poms for Philip Hedl either. It just doesn't make sense at this point of Patrick Kane's career. He's been a Chicago Blackhawk his whole career. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's won 2 Stanley Cups, 3, whatever it is, 2 or 3, I can't remember. Him going somewhere as a hired gun, maybe to another team that might be a little bit more in a bit of a feverish pace to add a little offense, but he hasn't really had offense this year, Paulie. Not the Patrick Kane that we know.
Right.
He's picked it up a little bit apparently the last couple of weeks, but we're still talking about his numbers aren't Patrick Kane like right now.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I get it. I just don't want to see. I'd love to get him. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see you give up something really significant for him. I don't think he's worth a significant piece of the puzzle. we were talking about when the
Well,
Rangers,
he might be worth a piece like a Hayak or a Kratzov.
right, or Jones or
Yeah,
something like that. I think he's worth an AHL,
yeah,
borderline NHL player,
yeah.
maybe a late round, late second, early third round
But
pick.
they're not going to ask that. They're going to ask a shitload for him. You know that. They're not going to.
But I don't think they're going to get it. To be honest with you, definitely not from the Rangers. I don't think Drury does that. So doesn't look good, guys, for Patrick Kane. So if you were on the Kane wagon, the Kane train, you're going to be disappointed. I don't really think that's going to happen, and I'm happy about it, to be honest. Unless you can get him for something like like we said, Hayak or Jones or something borderline NHL, AHL player, and maybe a pick. Other than that, I think we covered most of the topics. Anything else we want to discuss?
Not really. I think we got just about everything going. I mean, it's a big break coming up. Like with the All Star game, good luck to. I will say, good luck to the Ranger participants. I think it's Panarin, Fox,
And Fox, yeah.
Good luck to those guys, and hopefully they stay healthy. And don't party too hardy there, boys.
I was kind of hoping that Shesterkin was going to be like, oh, I don't feel good. I'm not going to go. I wanted him to get a bit of a break.
For goalies, they got to go. Come on. He's got to go. He's young.
I get it. That's one of the other reasons why I'm not a big fan of the All-Star game. But the thing with Shesterkin is he's borderline franchise for the New York Rangers. Anything happens, he gets hurt in this situation. But the other thing that I think of, Kotz, and help me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. This is me not being a player, so not having that NHL experience. But for goalies, what bothers me is I feel like they get overexposed in these games. I feel like you can find their weak spots easier and exploit them a little more, a little easier, because they get pounded in these. They get pounded in the skills competition with the 2-on-1s and all that kind of stuff, the breakaway contest, and then obviously in the game. So I just feel like their weaknesses get a little more exposed.
Yeah, but it goes back to what I said to you earlier. They don't take it serious anymore, these guys. So if I'm a goaltender and I'm elected to the All-Star game, you think I'm going to try like I'm playing for my team? I'll be honest with you, I'm not. I'm going to have fun. I'll make an effort. But if you think I'm going to try and stand on my head and pitch a shutout, you're crazy.
Right.
I'm not doing that. It's an all-star game. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody's trying hard. The defense are going to let guys in. It's not like it used to be where they actually gave a shit about playing each other. The all-star game. Why would you, as a goaltender who is, like you said, one of the key players in your franchise, go out there and try to win the George Vezina trophy right off the bat? Why would you even try that?
Right.
I wouldn't. The guy winds up for a slap shot. Like if I'm a defenseman in the All-Star game, I'm getting the fuck out of the way. Go ahead, shoot. I'm not trying to block it. But that's gone forever. That stuff's gone forever in the All-Star games. You're not going to see that stuff anymore. Too much money, too much value, too many franchise players. So they're not going to get hurt, Paulie. I get what you're saying, though. Because, it's usually a shootout here, shootout there. The score is 11-9, stuff like that. I get what you're saying. But if you're a goalie, you're taking it serious about stopping the puck, I'd have to have a little chat with you the next time you come back home if I was one of those veteran defensemen.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Enjoy your all-star presence, but take it easy, kid.
Yeah. Agreed. Hey, quick note. Topo Rise to Power is going to come out Memorial Day weekend.
I saw a little promo for that stuff.
Starting to, I will have a network for you probably.
Where's my preview copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, preview
And,
copies. You know they do.
just so you know.
Tell your boy Barbarese that there's a Greek mafia too that's going to come after him if he don't give me one.
I got a little bit bigger part in this thing, so it won't be an extra anymore. I'm gonna be
Second one?
Huh?
In what, the second?
Well, I don't know about that, but
Well, the first one's going to be, is it a movie, the first one?
no, it's a TV series.
Pilot. It's the pilot. The first one's the pilot.
This one's the big one, buddy.
It's the pilot.
Yeah.
Then the second one is what? Another episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will be shooting possibly late this month, the last 2 weekends of the month. So we'll see. So I'll keep you posted on when the program is going to be at the end of the month. Right now we're good. I think next week, if you want to do Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, we could probably pull that out. I haven't looked at the schedule, so possibly even Thursday night again. So we'll see. But then the following 2 weeks after that, I'll have to really let you know.
Take a look down at your comments there.
What does it say? Yeah. Yeah, I have to take pictures myself, big boy. Clam sauce. He did that was a damn good meal, boy. Vincent's was very good. Linguine and clam sauce is my dish, just so you know. And the funny story about that is when I was a kid, I hated it. I used to cry when my mother made it. My father loved it. And I would cry because you don't eat what mom gives you at the dinner table. You're really not eating. You might get snuck a bowl of cereal around 9 o'clock, but that's about it.
Well, that's natural. I know we're going to get away from that's natural. The same thing with the Greek Macedonian families. When I was a kid, I hated those yellow potatoes. And I hated the Greek rice. Now I get enough of it.
Yeah.
The stuff that I eat today that I would cry like you said, or there wasn't enough milk to gurgle it down with.
Yep.
You know?
Or
to kill the taste.
Now that's all I eat. I go to Italian restaurants and I go throughout the state here and wherever I go. If I'm going Italian, I get linguine and clam sauce. And I do that, and I'll tell you why I do it, and then I'll let everyone go. I do it because, Katzi, I tell you, I got a little cooking skill myself.
There's your boy.
Hey, boss man!
You can barely see him. Look. There he is.
The boss is in town.
There he is.
There he is. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
Next time you come to visit, you and him can sleep together. It's that other one that you can't.
Yeah, you got the boss and the bitch.
Oh,
you ain't messing with the bitch, man.
The tank.
She wanted to eat me the entire week I was there.
Tank. She's a tank.
Yeah. But anyway, so I like to cook, and linguine and clam sauce, the reason why I eat it everywhere I go in Italian restaurants is because I like to compare the recipes. And when I make it, I kind of use a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little pinch here, a little pinch there. A lot of people make it different ways. So Vincent's was real good. Anyway, I digress. But I do love to cook. Katzi, I tell you, I make a pretty mean meat sauce. Some good meatballs, huh, Katz?
I would have to agree with you, Mr. Pauly. I watched you do it all afternoon as I was drinking beer, watching you do it.
Good stuff. Well, next week, the show will probably take place, I would say, anywhere Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know what the schedule is. Do they play? The Rangers play Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think they play Monday.
So we can.
Who do they play? Calgary, I think, Monday?
Yep. So it looks like Tuesday because they play Vancouver at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So Tuesday next week we'll do the show. Fair enough?
All righty.
Tuesday. Other than that, guys, please subscribe to the page. And
Yes.
if you aren't currently in the Instigators hockey,
Don't be afraid to send it out to your friends too if they want to listen to the show or watch the show.
If you currently aren't a member of the Instigator Hockey Show on Facebook, please friend request us and we'll invite you on in. We're close to 700 members. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, we love you. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the All-Star game and some of that festivities. It is here in sunny Florida, but it's on the other coast. I'm on the West Coast. That's on the East Coast, South. But it's nice here, man. It's in the 80s.
Oh, shut up. It's too hot. It's freezing.
No humidity. There's no
humidity. Too hot there. It's too cold here.
No
That's why I got the hoodie on. I'm good.
You can tan. You can go to the beach. I actually turned on a couple of boat rides last
You've been living there for how many years now?
Woo! This May will be 26 years.
How come you look like you work in a flower plant?
What does that mean?
White flower.
Oh, because I'm white?
Yeah, you're not fucking dark at all. Who are you kidding?
See, and you see how you are?
That's because you're never out. You're in that shop at BMW in the air conditioning.
Oh,
That's
here
an
we
air conditioned
go.
car. It's an air conditioned house. You ain't running down the street in your little bikini shirts with no shirt on jogging.
Not yet, but maybe soon.
Well, hey, I think you should put that jacket on and show how it still fits.
Oh, my.
It doesn't fit anymore, folks. Look at it. Look at it. It's a nice jacket, but you know what? It's for sale for anybody under 200 pounds.
Look at this gem, bro. All leather. I bought this. I think I bought this at Cosby's. I'm not sure. I think I bought it at Cosby's. And it still fits. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, watch him suck in his gut here to get it on, folks.
No, well, it has, listen.
Watch, he's got a
There's
hold.
a plastic waistband down here. Hold on.
Got to hold his breath. Watch this. Hold your breath now. Here he goes.
Look at that, huh? That's good stuff.
It don't quite fit like it used to.
Oh, it fits great, man. I wish
it is a nice jacket, but it will soon be on eBay for $199.99.
Never happening. This is going to my grandkids one day, buddy.
There's a weight limit under 200 pounds only.
Oh, I will tell you this though.
It's a little tight on you. You got to admit it.
It's not tight at all. It feels great. Feels great. I will say this.
It is a beautiful jacket.
Thank you. I will say this. I am very I probably should have did this earlier. We got to go, but I'm so disappointed. Like when I see this turkey, Paul Bissonnette, Biz Shitty, with Ranger players and stuff, man. Hank was playing the guitar and the guy was attempting to sing, which he can't sing. He can't sing. He sings so bad. He couldn't carry a fucking tune with a handle. But with that being said, I mean, why? I don't get that. All the things that he said about the team, the players, the fans. I mean, we get the video. He's slapping the Ranger fan in his face, talking shit.
Yep.
How does a great like Messier, Gretzky, these guys that loved and came and played in New York and played for an original six in New York, and Hank, who pretty much lived and died a New York Ranger, how do they sit in the same room with this fucking turkey and do anything?
Listen, you got me. I think it obviously has everything to do with the fact that they're signed to work for the NHL. That's all there is to it. I mean, I think when I watch Lundqvist, I don't watch a lot of it. I watch Lundqvist a little bit on MSG. I don't watch the TNT shows at all. Period. Right. And once it gets the period over, I watch something else. Something else interests me. I have no idea. I guess you got to be professional, when it comes to being public. But if I was on one of those panels, I'd be professional, okay? But I would probably let him know off camera, let him know that I'm not too pleased with some of the shit he says, and if he's not too pleased with some of the shit I say, so what? At least you get it off your chest. But Hank's getting better, eh? Hank's getting actually pretty good at his his job in between periods. I think he's getting really good at it,
Yeah. I like having him there, man. I tell you.
And I think I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen much of Messier or Chelios, but I think they're getting. The last time I seen them, they were getting better too, But you got to take a look at the mixture there too, Paulie. Who they brought in. That's another reason why maybe the viewership's down. Like Gretz. I love Gretz. Wayne Gretzky is one of the greatest players ever, obviously, if not the greatest player ever. But does he look interested to you in there? I don't know. He looks kind of uninterested in being there.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So whatever. One day you'll bump into him and we'll bump into him. It'll be hi. We think you're a piece of shit. Leave us alone. I'm not bothering you. Fuck off. That's all.
As long as I can get a fucking shoulder into him, I'll be happy.
Listen, get one of your. No, I better not say that. I was going to say you might end up Alec Baldwin him.
Oh, Jesus. Take him on the set. No. Okay, we digress for sure, man. All right.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, Alec Baldwin him.
Capo, rise to power, baby.
Give me your big one. Paulie wants to see you one more time. Look at that.
There's the boss man.
Boss man wants to go out. That's what it is.
Like 150-pound dog right there.
Oh yeah. And Luna's probably a little heavier.
But
female's heavier.
He's a good boy. He'll let you pet him.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, everybody. We'll see you next week. It looks like Tuesday night, 8:30 next week. You better be here. Join, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Good night, everyone.
Can't wait.
Oops.
What was that?
I got the hiccups.
Let me send him out. Come on, boss.